The world has gone quiet. Shadows stretch across the walls. Let your thoughts grow soft. A story waits in the stillness. If it brings you peace, like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a night. Now, let the story find you. You find yourself standing on a narrow street in an old Japanese village where the air smells of cedar and faint jasmine. The moon hangs low, casting a silver glow over tiled roofs and wooden shutters. Your sandals shuffle against the cobblestones, and the world feels hushed, as if holding its breath. You're not sure why you're here, only that something pulls you forward, like a thread tugging at your heart. Ahead, a small tea house glows softly, its paper lantern swaying in the breeze. The sign above the door is weathered, but you can make out the words, "The Teacup's Haven." Your feet move before you tell them to, and soon you're sliding the door open, a bell chiming above your head. Inside, the air is warm, scented with green tea and something sweeter, like honey left too long in the sun. A woman stands behind the counter, her kimono a deep indigo that seems to shimmer in the dim light. Her name, you learn, is Hannah, and her smile is gentle, but carries a weight, as if she knows something you don't. Her eyes meet yours, and for a moment, you feel as though she's looking straight through you, seeing every secret you've ever buried. "Welcome," she says, her voice soft as a lullaby. "You've come for the teacup, haven't you?" You hesitate, unsure what she means, but your hand brushes against something in your pocket. It's a small folded note, one you don't remember receiving. You unfold it, and in delicate ink it reads, "Find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek." Your heart quickens, but you don't know why. Hannah gestures to a low table. In the corner, where a single teacup sits, its porcelain so thin it seems to glow. It's filled to the brim with steaming tea, the surface rippling slightly, as if stirred by an unseen hand. You sit, your fingers grazing the cup's smooth edge, and a warmth spreads through you, like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Drink," Hannah says, her voice both an invitation and a warning. "But know this, once you taste it, you're bound to its story." You lift the cup, the steam curling around your face, and take a sip. The tea is sweet, then bitter, then something else entirely, a flavor you can't name, but that feels like a memory you've forgotten. The room seems to shift, the walls softening, the lanterns dimming. Hannah's smile lingers, but her eyes are sharper now, watching you closely. Before you can speak, a man enters the tea house, his presence sudden and jarring. His name is Kato, and he's tall, with hair that falls messily over his eyes. His kimono is slightly disheveled, and there's a nervous energy about him, like someone who's running from something. He glances at you, then at Hannah, and his voice cracks when he speaks. "Hannah, you promised," he says, his hands clenched. "You said it would end tonight." Hannah's expression doesn't change, but her fingers tighten around the cloth she's holding. "Patience, Kato," she murmurs. "The teacup chooses its own time." You feel caught in something you don't understand, a tension that hums in the air like a plucked string. The teacup sits in front of you, still full despite the sip you took, its surface gleaming under the lantern light. You want to ask what's happening, but the words stick in your throat. Kato's eyes dart to the cup, and for a moment you see something in them, longing, fear, maybe both. He steps closer, his shadow falling over you, and whispers, "Don't trust it. Don't trust her." Hannah laughs, a sound like wind chimes, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "Kato, you're scaring our guest," she says, her tone light but edged. "Sit, drink, let the teacup decide." You're not sure who to believe, but the cup in your hands feels alive, its warmth pulsing against your palms. The tea swirls, and for a fleeting moment, you think you see a face in its surface, not yours, but someone else's, someone who looks like they're waiting for you. The room grows quieter, the air heavier. You realize you're holding your breath, waiting for what comes next. Kato sits across from you, his eyes never leaving the teacup. Hana hums softly, pouring tea into another cup that appears from nowhere, and the night feels like it's only just begun. You sit at the low table, the teacup warm in your hands, its weight both comforting and unsettling. The tea inside shimmers, still brimming despite the sip you took, as if it refuses to be diminished. The air in the tea house feels thicker now, like it's pressing against your skin, and the lanterns cast long shadows that flicker like whispers across the walls. Hannah stands behind the counter, her movements slow and deliberate as she polishes a tray, but her eyes keep finding you, sharp and knowing. Kato, seated across from you, grips his own teacup tightly, his knuckles pale. You try to focus, to make sense of the note in your pocket and the cryptic words exchanged between Hana and Kaito. The teacup that never empties. What does it mean? You glance down and the tea's surface ripples again, showing not your reflection but a fleeting image. A garden bathed in moonlight, petals falling like snow. You blink and it's gone, replaced by the smooth, dark liquid. Your heart beats faster, a rhythm you can't control. Kaito leans forward, his voice low, urgent. "You feel it, don't you?" he says, his eyes searching yours. "It's not just tea, it's something else." His words are heavy, like he's confessing a secret he's carried too long. You want to ask what he means, but the air feels too fragile, like it might shatter if you speak. Hana's voice cuts through the tension, soft but commanding. "Kato, don't frighten our guest," she says, stepping closer. Her kimono brushes the floor, and you notice the faint pattern of cherry blossoms woven into the fabric, their edges glowing faintly, as if lit from within. "The teacup offers truth," she continues, her gaze locking onto you. "But truth is a heavy thing. Are you ready to carry it?" You swallow, your throat dry despite the tea you've tasted. The cup in your hands feels warmer now, almost too warm, and you set it down carefully, afraid it might burn you. Kato's eyes follow the movement, and he laughs a short, bitter sound. "You can't walk away from it," he says. "Not once you've started." You want to argue, to say you didn't ask for this, but the note in your pocket feels heavier, like it's anchoring you to this moment. You pull it out again, hoping for clarity, but the words are the same. Find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek. You look at Hana, then at Kato, and the question spills out before you can stop it. What am I seeking? Hana's smile is enigmatic, her head tilting slightly. "That's for the teacup to show you," she says. She moves to your side, her presence both soothing and unsettling, and pours more tea into your cup, though it was already full. The liquid doesn't spill, defying reason, and you feel a strange pull, like the tea is calling you to drink again. "Don't," Kato says sharply, his hand reaching out as if to stop you. His fingers tremble, and you notice a faint scar across his palm, jagged and old. Every sip pulls you deeper. You'll see things you can't unsee. His voice cracks, and you wonder what he's seen, what's left him so haunted. Hana sighs, her expression softening. Kaito, you chose your path, she says almost tenderly. Let our guest choose theirs. She turns to you, her eyes like pools of starlight. Drink, and the teacup will show you a piece of its story. Or leave it and walk away. But know this, the teacup never forgets those who touch it. Your hand hovers over the cup, torn between curiosity and fear. The tea swirls, and this time you see a glimpse of a woman in a red kimono, her face half hidden by a fan, her eyes wide with longing. The image fades, but the feeling lingers, a mix of sorrow and desire that isn't yours but feels like it could be. Kaito shifts, his chair creaking under him. I tried to warn her, he mutters almost to himself. I thought I could save her. You don't know who he's talking about, but the pain in his voice is raw, like a wound that never healed. You look at the teacup, its delicate porcelain glowing faintly in the lantern light. The choice is yours, but the weight of it presses against your chest. Do you drink again, chasing the fleeting images and their secrets? Or do you push the cup away, ignoring the pull that's growing stronger with every breath? Hana watches you, her smile unchanging, and Kato's gaze is heavy, pleading. The tea house feels smaller now, the walls closing in, and the tea's warmth radiates through you, promising answers, promising truth. You lift the cup, your fingers trembling, and the world holds its breath. You hold the teacup close, its warmth seeping into your palms, almost too hot now, like it's alive with secrets. The tea inside swirls gently, catching the lantern light, in a way that makes it look deeper than it should, like a well with no bottom. Your heart pounds as you bring the cup to your lips, Kato's warning echoing in your mind, but the pull is too strong, the promise of truth too tempting. You take another sip, and the world around you shifts. The tea house blurs, the walls dissolving into a soft mist. You're standing in a garden now, the air cool and heavy with the scent of cherry blossoms. Petals drift down around you, glowing faintly under a moon that's impossibly large, filling the sky with silver light. You're still holding the teacup, but it feels different, heavier, as if it's carrying the weight of this place. A figure moves through the garden, her red kimono trailing behind her like a river of blood. It's the woman you glimpsed in the tea, her face still half hidden by a fan painted with cranes. She doesn't see you, or maybe she does, but her eyes are fixed on something in the distance, something that makes her steps falter. You follow her gaze and see a man, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. He's tall with hair tied back, and he's holding a lantern that burns with a strange violet flame. You want to call out, to ask who they are, but your voice feels trapped, like you're a ghost in this scene. The woman stops, her fan lowering, and you see her face clearly now, beautiful, but etched with sorrow. Her lips part and she whispers a name, Takeshi, so softly it's almost lost in the breeze. The man turns, and for a moment you think. He looks at you, his eyes piercing, but he's focused on her. You shouldn't be here. Aiko, he says, his voice low, carrying a mix of anger and longing. You know what it costs. Aiko steps closer, her hands trembling as she clutches her fan. I don't care, she says, her voice breaking. I can't keep living like this, Takeshi. The teacup, it showed me. She trails off, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. You feel a pang in your chest, their emotions bleeding into you as if they're your own. The teacup in your hands pulses, and you realize it's still full, the tea shimmering with faint images, a bridge, a river, a promise made under starlight. You want to look closer, but the garden starts to fade, the petals dissolving into mist. You're back in the tea house, the cup still in your hands, your breath uneven. Kato is staring at you, his face pale, his eyes wide with something like fear. You saw her, didn't you? He says, his voice barely above a whisper. Aiko. You nod, unable to find words. Hana is still behind the counter, but she's no longer polishing the tray. She's watching you, her expression unreadable, her fingers tracing the edge of a teapot that wasn't there before. The teacup shows what it wants, she says, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. It's only the beginning. You set the cup down, your hands shaking. Who are they? You ask, your voice steadier than you feel. Aiko and Takeshi. What do they have to do with me? Hana's smile is faint, almost sad. The teacup binds stories, she says. Yours, theirs, others. Every sip weaves you closer. Kato slams his hand on the table, making you jump. Stop it, Hana, he says, his voice raw. Tell them the truth. Tell them what it did to her. He looks at you, his eyes pleading. Aiko thought she could control it, thought she could. Use the teacup to fix everything. But it doesn't give, it takes. You feel a chill, not from the air, but from something deeper, something the teacup stirred inside you. The images of Aiko and Takeshi linger, their pain, their longing, like a song you can't stop hearing. You want to ask more, to understand, but the teacup sits there, glowing softly, daring you to drink again. Hana steps closer, her kimono rustling. You can walk away, she says, her voice like a lullaby. But the teacup knows you now, it will call you back. You glance at Kato, his scar catching the light, his hands clenched so tightly, you think they might bleed. He doesn't meet your eyes, but you can feel his regret. The tea house feels smaller, the air heavier, and you realize you're at a crossroads. The tea swirls, promising more, promising answers, but Kato's words echo, a warning. You can't ignore, your fingers brush the cup's edge, and it hums under your touch, warm, alive, waiting. You sit frozen, the teacup's warmth lingering on your fingertips, its glow casting soft shadows across the table. The air in the tea house feels heavy, charged with unspoken truths. Kato's words hang between you, his warning about Aiko and the teacup's cost echoing in your mind. Yet the pull of the tea is undeniable, like a whisper urging you to uncover more. You glance at the cup, its surface still brimming, the liquid. Catching the lantern light in a dance of faint colors, Hana watches you, her indigo kimono blending into the dimness, her eyes steady but unreadable. The teacup shows what you need, she says, her voice soft, almost hypnotic. Not always what you want. She moves to a shelf, her hands brushing over a row of delicate cups, each one glinting as if it holds its own secrets. Kato shifts in his seat, his jaw tight. Don't listen to her, he mutters, his voice rough. It's a trap. It was for Aiko, and it will be for you. His scar seems more pronounced now, a jagged line across his palm that tells a story you can't yet read. You want to ask. About Aiko, about what the teacup took from her. But your thoughts are drawn back to the vision in the garden. The woman in the red kimono, her whispered name, Takashi. The emotions from that scene cling to you, sorrow and longing so vivid they feel like your own. You look at the teacup again, and without fully deciding, your hands move, lifting it to your lips. The tea is warm, its taste sharper this time. Like bittersweet regret, the tea house fades and you're somewhere new. You're standing on a wooden bridge arched over a quiet river, the water below reflecting a sky full of stars. The air is cool, scented with pine and damp earth. Aiko is there, her red kimono glowing faintly, her fan tucked into her sleeve. She's not alone. Takeshi stands beside her, his lantern now extinguished, his face etched with a mix of hope and fear. "You don't have to do this," Takeshi says, his voice low, pleading. He reaches for Aiko's hand, but she pulls away, her eyes fixed on the river. "The teacup promised," she says, her voice trembling but resolute. "It showed me a way to keep us together." You feel the weight of their words, the ache of a promise you don't fully understand. The teacup in your hands hums, and you notice it's still full, its surface rippling with faint images, a tea house, a lantern, a vow made in haste. You want to step closer to hear more, but you're invisible to them, a shadow caught in their story. Aiko turns to Takeshi, her face soft but determined. "I've seen it," she says. "The teacup never lies. If I drink again, it will bind us forever." Takeshi shakes his head, his hands clenched. "At what cost, Aiko?" "You don't know what it will take." You feel it chill, the same one you felt in Kato's warning. The river seems to whisper, its current carrying faint voices, promises, regrets. Aiko lifts a teacup, identical to the one you hold, and drinks deeply. The air shimmers, and for a moment you think you see her. Form flicker, like a candle flame caught in a draft. The scene dissolves, and you're back in the tea house, your breath shallow. The teacup is still in your hands, its warmth now almost searing. Kato is staring at you, his eyes dark with something like pity. "You saw them," he says, not a question. "You saw what she did." You nod, your throat tight. "What happened?" "To her?" you ask, your voice barely above a whisper. Kato looks away, his hands trembling. "She thought the teacup would save them," he says. "But it doesn't save. It binds, and what it binds, it keeps." Hannah's voice cuts through, calm and measured. "The teacup gives what you ask for," she says, stepping closer. "But it always asks something in return." She leans down, her face close to yours, her breath cool against your skin. "What are you willing to give?" You feel trapped, caught between Kato's fear and Hannah's cryptic calm. The teacup sits before you, its tea still full, its surface gleaming with secrets. You want answers, but each sip pulls you deeper into Aiko and Takeshi's story, their pain, their choices. You wonder if it's pulling you toward your own? Kato leans forward, his voice urgent. "You can still stop," he says. "Put it down. Walk away." But his eyes betray him, a flicker of longing, as if he wishes he could follow his own advice. The tea house is quiet, the lanterns dimming, the air thick with the weight of choices. The teacup waits, patient, eternal, and you feel its pull, a promise of truth, a whisper of cost. Your fingers hover over its edge, and the night holds its breath. You sit in the tea house, the weight of the teacup grounding you, its warmth pulsing like a heartbeat against your palms. The air feels fragile, as if one wrong move might unravel the moment. Kato's warning lingers, his eyes fixed on you, pleading. while Hannah's calm presence looms like a shadow that doesn't quite touch you. The teacup's tea shimmers still, full, its surface catching the lantern light in a way that makes it seem alive. You know you should put it down, walk away, but the images of Aiko and Takeshi burn in your mind, their story pulling you like a tide. Your fingers tighten around the cup, and before you can stop yourself, you lift it to your lips again. The tea is sharp this time, like a memory you've tried to forget, and the tea house fades into mist. You're standing in a narrow alley now, the air thick with the scent of rain and old wood. Lanterns sway above, their light dim and flickering, casting long shadows that seem to move on their own. Aiko is there, her red kimono stark against the gray stones. She's alone, clutching the teacup, her hands trembling. Her face is pale, her eyes wide with something between fear and determination. You want to reach out, to ask what she's doing, but you're still a ghost in this world, unseen, unheard. Footsteps echo, and Takeshi appears at the end of the alley, his face drawn, his kimono damp from the rain. Aiko, he calls, his voice rough with desperation. You can't keep doing this. The teacup, it's changing you. She turns, her expression softening at the sight of him, but there's a hardness in her eyes, a resolve that wasn't there before. It's the only way, she says, her voice steady despite the tremble in her hands. The teacup showed me, if I drink enough it will bind us forever, beyond time, beyond death. Takeshi steps closer, his hands outstretched. At what cost, he asks, his voice breaking. You're fading, Aiko. Every sip takes more of you. You feel it chill. The words echoing Kato's warning in the tea house. The teacup in your hands grows heavier, its warmth almost burning now. You look at Aiko's cup, identical to yours, and notice something strange. Her reflection in the tea isn't hers. It's distorted like a shadow with no source, and for a moment you think you see Hannah's face in it, smiling faintly. Aiko lifts the cup, her movements slow, deliberate. I love you, Takeshi, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. This is my choice. She drinks deeply, and the air around her shimmers, her form flickering like a flame caught in a storm. Takeshi cries out, reaching for her, but his hands pass through her as if she's already half gone. The alley blurs, and you're back in the tea house, your breath ragged, the teacup still in your hands. Kato is staring at you, his face pale, his scar stark against his skin. You saw it, didn't you? He says, his voice low, almost accusing. What it did to her. You nod, your throat tight. The image of Aiko flickering, fading, clings. Do you like damp cloth? What happened to her? You ask, your voice shaking. What does the teacup do? Hana answers before Kaito can, her voice smooth as silk. It gives what you ask, she says, stepping closer, her kimono rustling softly. Aiko asked for eternity with Takeshi. The teacup granted it in its own way. Her smile is gentle, but there's a sharpness beneath it, like a blade hidden in a flower. Kaito slams his fist on the table, making the teacup wobble. It didn't grant anything, he says, his voice raw. It took her. It took everything. He looks at you, his eyes burning. You're walking the same path. You can still stop. You want to believe him, but the teacup's pull is stronger now, its warmth spreading through you like a promise. The note in your pocket feels heavier. The words find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek burning in your mind. What do you seek? You don't know, but the tea's visions, Aiko's longing, Takeshi's despair, they feel like pieces of a puzzle you're meant to solve. Hana leans closer, her breath cool against your cheek. The teacup knows your heart, she says. Drink, and it will show you more. Or set it down and leave the story unfinished. Your hands tremble, the cup heavy, alive. The tea swirls, and you catch a glimpse of something new, a figure in the shadows, watching Aiko and Takeshi, its eyes glinting like a cat's. The image fades, but the feeling lingers, a mix of curiosity and dread. Kato's voice cuts through. Soft but urgent. Don't let it take you too, he says, his scar catching the light. The tea house is quiet, the lanterns dim, and the teacup waits, its secrets shimmering just out of reach. You sit in the tea house, the teacup's warmth seeping into your hands, its glow casting faint patterns across your skin. The air feels thick, heavy with the weight of Aiko and Takeshi's story, their voices still echoing in your mind. Kato's eyes bore into you, his scar stark under the lantern light, his warning a sharp edge in the quiet. Hana stands nearby, her presence calm, but unyielding, like a tide that pulls without effort. The teacup sits before you, its tea shimmering, always full. Always waiting. Your heart races, torn between fear and the need to know more. The visions, Aiko's fading form, Takeshi's desperate plea, they feel like threads weaving around you, binding you to something you can't yet name. The note in your pocket burns, its words a constant murmur. Find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek. You don't know what you seek, but the teacup's pull is relentless, a song you can't stop hearing. You lift the cup, your hands trembling, and take another sip. The tea is sharp, almost bitter, like a truth you're not ready to face. The tea house dissolves, and you're standing in a forest clearing, the air cool and scented with pine. Moonlight filters through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Aiko is there, her red kimono glowing faintly, but she's different now, her edges blurred. Like she's fraying into the night, she's kneeling beside a small shrine, the teacup cradled in her hands. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow, but there's a fierce determination in her posture, as if she's fighting something you can't see. The shrine is old, its wood weathered, adorned with faded offerings, flowers, and a single candle flickering against the dark. A figure steps into the clearing. Not Takeshi, but someone else, a woman cloaked in shadow, her face hidden. Her voice is soft, familiar, like Hana's but colder. "You've drunk deeply, Aiko," she says, her words curling like smoke. "The teacup has given you what you asked. Are you ready to pay its price?" Aiko's hands tighten around the cup, her voice barely a whisper. "I just wanted him," she says. "I wanted us to be together." The shadowed woman laughs, a sound like falling leaves. "The teacup binds, but it does not bend," she says. "You are his, but you are also mine." You feel it chill, the teacup in your hands growing heavier, its warmth almost painful. You want to call out, to warn Aiko, but you're still a ghost, trapped in her story. The shadowed woman steps closer, and for a moment you catch a glimpse of her face. Hana's face, but older, sharper, her eyes glinting with something ancient. Aiko drinks from the teacup again, her form flickering like a dying flame. The air around her shimmers, and you see Takeshi's face in the tea surface, his eyes wide with grief. The shrine's candle flares, then goes out, and Aiko gasps, her body slumping forward. The shadowed woman kneels beside her, her hand brushing Aiko's cheek, and whispers, "You belong to the teacup now." The forest fades, and you're back in the tea house, your breath uneven, the teacup still in your hands. Kato is watching. You, his face a mask of anguish. "You saw her," he says, his voice raw. "You saw what it took." You nod, your throat tight. "Who was that woman?" you ask, your voice shaking. "The one with Aiko." Hana answers, her voice calm, almost too calm. "The teacup has many keepers," she says, her fingers tracing the edge of the counter. "Some guide, some claim. Aiko made her choice." Kato's laugh is bitter, broken. "Her choice?" he says, his eyes flashing. "It wasn't a choice. It was a trap." He turns to you, his scar catching the light. You're still holding it. You can still walk away. But the teacup feels like part of you now, its warmth spreading through your veins. The visions, Aiko's fading, the shadowed woman's words, they cling to you, pulling you deeper. You look at the tea, its surface rippling with faint images. A shrine, a candle, a promise that cost too much. Hana steps closer, her kimono rustling softly. "The teacup shows you what you need to see," she says, her eyes locking onto yours. "But it asks for trust. Will you give it?" You want to set the cup down, to listen to Kato, but the pull is stronger now, the need to understand what Aiko sought, what she lost. The teacup hums, its secrets just out of reach, and you feel the weight of your own choice pressing against you. The lanterns dim, the tea house grows quieter, and the tea waits, patient. Eternal. You sit in the tea house, the teacup's heat radiating through your hands, its weight anchoring you to the moment. The air is thick, the lanterns casting a soft glow that seems to pulse with the rhythm of your heartbeat. Kato's eyes are fixed on you, his scar a stark reminder of the cost he keeps warning you about. Hana stands nearby, her presence both soothing and unsettling, her smile a mask that hides something deeper. The teacup's tea shimmers, always full, its surface rippling with secrets that feel like they're reaching for you. Aiko's fading form lingers in your mind, her whispered words to the shadowed woman echoing like a warning you can't quite grasp. The note in your pocket feels heavier than ever. Its words find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek burning in your thoughts. You don't know what you seek, but the teacup's pull is relentless, a quiet voice urging you to drink again, to see more. Your hands tremble as you lift the cup, Kato's sharp intake of breath barely registering. The tea touches your lips, its taste now a mix of sweetness and something darker, like ash scattered on snow. The tea house fades, and you're standing in a vast, empty room, its walls made of sliding paper screens that glow faintly under a moon you can't see. The air is cold, heavy with the scent of incense and old promises. Aiko is there, but she's barely more than a shadow now, her red kimono frayed at the edges, her form translucent, like mist caught in moonlight. She's kneeling before a low table, the teacup in her hands, its glow the only solid thing about her. Takeshi stands across from her, his face etched with grief, his hands clenched as if he's fighting to hold on to something slipping away. "You can't keep going," Takeshi says, his voice breaking. "You're disappearing, Aiko. Please, stop." Aiko's eyes meet his, and you see a flicker of love, but it's drowned in determination. I'm so close, she whispers, her voice thin like it's coming from far away. The teacup promised. One more sip and we'll be together, always. You feel a pang in your chest, their pain seeping into you. The teacup in your hands grows warmer, almost too warm, and you notice its surface reflecting not your face, but Aiko's, her eyes pleading, as if she sees you watching. The shadowed woman from the forest appears, her F. The teacup keeps its promises, the shadowed Hana says, her voice smooth but cold. But every promise has a price. Are you ready, Aiko? Aiko nods, her hand shaking as she lifts the teacup. For him, she says, and drinks deeply. The air shimmers and her form flickers violently, like a lantern caught in a storm. Takeshi cries out, reaching for her, but she's already fading, her kimono dissolving into wisps of red smoke. The shadowed Hana smiles, her hand brushing the air where Aiko stood, and whispers, "Mine." The room collapses, and you're back in the tea house, your breath ragged, the teacup burning in your hands. You set it down quickly, your fingers stinging. Kato is staring at you, his face pale, his eyes wide with something like fear. You saw her go, he says, his voice barely audible. You saw what it did. You nod, your throat tight. She's gone, you say, your voice shaking. The teacup took her. Hannah's laugh is soft, like a breeze through leaves. Took? She says, stepping closer, her kimono blowing faintly. The teacup doesn't take. It trades. Aiko wanted eternity with Takeshi. She has it in a way. Kato's voice is sharp, cutting through her calm. In a way, he says, his hands clenched. She's gone, Hana. You let it happen. He turns to you, his scar catching the light. You're still holding it. You can still walk away. But the teacup's pull is stronger now, its warmth lingering in your hands, its visions weaving through your thoughts. Aiko's choice, her love, her sacrifice, they feel like a warning, but also a call, a promise of answers you're so close to grasping. You look at the tea, its surface rippling with faint images, a room, a shrine, a shadowed smile. Hana leans closer, her voice a lullaby. The teacup knows you, she says. One more sip, and you'll see the end of Aiko's story, and perhaps the beginning of yours. Your heart pounds, Kato's warning clashing with the teacup's allure. The lanterns dim, the tea house grows quieter, and the tea waits, its secrets shimmering just beneath the surface. Your fingers hover over the cup, and the night feels like it's holding its breath. You sit in the tea house, the teacup's warmth a steady pulse against your hands, its glow casting faint shadows that seem to dance with secrets. The air is heavy, almost suffocating, as Kato's anguished warning and Hannah's cryptic calm swirl in your mind. Aiko's fading form haunts you, her final sip a moment you can't unsee, her love for Takeshi consumed by the teacup's promise. The note in your pocket feels like a stone, its words find the teacup that never empties. It holds what you seek, a question you're still chasing. Kato's eyes are on you, his scar stark under the dimming lanterns, his silence louder than any plea. Hana stands closer now, her indigo kimono shimmering, her smile soft but edged with something ancient. The teacup sits before you, its tea, brimming, its surface rippling with images you can't quite make out. You know you should walk away, but the pull is overwhelming, a tide dragging you toward the truth. Your hands shake as you lift the cup, Kato's sharp breath the only sound in the quiet. The tea touches your lips, its taste sharp and cold, like a winter wind carrying forgotten promises. The tea house dissolves, and you're standing in a vast, endless void, the air heavy with the scent of jasmine and ash. The ground beneath you is smooth, like polished stone, reflecting the sky with no stars. Aiko is there, or what's left of her. Faint, translucent figure, her red kimono barely holding its shape. She's standing before a towering figure, the shadowed Hana, her eyes glinting like polished obsidian. The teacup is in Aiko's hands, glowing brighter than ever, its light casting Aiko's fading form in stark relief. Takeshi is nowhere to be seen, but you feel his absence, a void as real as the one around you. You've given everything, the shadowed Hana says, her voice a low hum that vibrates in your chest. The teacup has kept its promise. You and Takeshi are bound forever. Aiko's voice is faint, like a whisper carried on a dying breeze. But where is he? She asks, her hands trembling around the cup. You said we'd be together. The shadowed Hana's smile is cold, triumphant. You are, she says, in the teacup's heart where all stories meet. You wanted eternity, Aiko. This is what it looks like. You feel a chill, the teacup in your hands burning with a heat that doesn't warm. Aiko's form flickers, her eyes meeting yours for the first time, wide with realization, with regret. Don't, she whispers, her voice breaking through the void to reach you. Don't let it take you. The shadowed Hana turns, her gaze locking onto you, and you realize she sees you, knows you're there. You've come far, she says, her voice weaving through your thoughts. The teacup chose you, just as it chose Aiko. One last sip, and you'll know everything. The void pulses, the air tightening around you. Aiko's form fades completely, her kimono dissolving into wisps of red light that spiral into the teacup's glow. The shadowed Hana steps closer, her hand outstretched, and you feel the teacup hum, its warmth spreading through you, promising answers, promising eternity. The scene shatters, and you're back in the tea house, the cup still in your hands, your breath ragged. Kaito is on his feet, his face pale, his scar a jagged line of pain. Put it down, he says, his voice raw. Please, you don't have to end like her. Hana's voice is soft, almost tender. The teacup offers truth, she says, her eyes locked on yours. But truth is a choice. What will you choose? You look at the teacup, its tea still full, its surface calm now, reflecting nothing but the dim lantern light. Aiko's warning echoes, her fading form a shadow in your mind. You think of Takeshi, his grief, his absence. You think of the note, the promise of what you seek. But what do you seek? The question hangs, unanswered, and the teacup waits, patient, eternal. Your hands tremble, but you set the cup down, its warmth lingering on your skin. The tea house is silent, the lanterns flickering, and you feel the weight of your choice, heavy but freeing. Kaito exhales, his shoulders sagging, and Hana's smile fades just for a moment before she turns away, her kimono rustling like leaves in the wind. The teacup sits on the table, its glow dimming, its secrets unspoken. You stand, your legs unsteady, and step toward the door, the night waiting beyond. Some stories stay with us long after the words fade. Let this one rest beside you, sleep deeply, and if it returns in your dreams, perhaps it was never truly gone.